18th, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Town of Burlington will be holding the August 18th, 2022 meeting of the Planning Board as a hybrid meeting due to the current state of emergency due to the COVID-19 virus. As such, the Governor issued an executive order on March 12th, 2020, authorizing remote meetings under General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, and extended by Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, including permitting remote meetings and participation until March 31st, 2023.
Those of you seeking to participate remotely may do so via the townofburlington.webex.com. The access code is 2350-561-5356, and the meeting password is 1645. You can also join us by phone at 617-315-0704. This meeting is being broadcast on the BCAT government channel. You can find it on Comcast 99, RCN 15, and Verizon 41. It's also being streamed on Facebook Live via the BCAT government Facebook page. The public will be able to make comments during the time for public comment. Questions can be asked via WebEx or the WebEx Q&A function. All persons wishing to ask a question or make a comment must identify themselves.
Thank you, Liz. Staff, can we take a roll call of all participants on the WebEx?
Sure.
For the record? If you kindly state your name if you are currently on the WebEx so we can record who the participants are for this meeting this evening. Thank you.
Can we start with Sherry?
Mary Ellis, CDRC.
Thank you, Sherry. Is it Tamara? Tamara?
Hello.
Hi, Tamara. Would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, it's Tamara Maniscalco.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tamara. Thank you.
It's okay, no worries.
Ji Wang? Is that correct?
Hi, this is G. Wang from Prison 5.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. There's two other folks who don't have a name. Would you please identify yourselves for the record?
One is BCAT.
If you cannot do so, please drop off. Liz, if they cannot do so, can you drop them off, please? Thank you.
You can do that?
Why not?
It was physically possible. So.
Sure can.
Oh, there we go.
Technology's beautiful. Who's the woman on the top right-hand corner?
That's Jen Gelinas. She's our clerk. Yeah, she.
All right, so clearly I need my glasses. I'm sorry, Jen, you can stay. Okay, folks, well, thank you for all identifying yourself this evening. We do have some items being continued off this week's agenda. May I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take items, it's the ones right below, right? 7A?
Yeah, it should be
through
7G. It
Yep.
should be 7F through 7L because those are the. So that's my bad. It should
Okay,
read
so
the
it
motion
is-
as said.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to take items 7F through 7L together and out of order for discussion purposes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item F is a continued public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 6.1.2.1, non-conforming structures and premises of the zoning bylaws, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Pyramid Burlington Management LLC on behalf of RB Hotel Burlington LLC is the applicant. Item G is a continued public hearing application for approval of a site plan, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Pyramid Burlington Management LLC on behalf of RB Hotel Burlington LLC is the applicant. Item H is a continued public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.4.2, life science laboratories engaged in the manufacture of life science technologies and medicines for commercial production to the market, including but not limited to the fields of pharmaceuticals, biomedical technologies and engineering, life science technologies, environmental, biomedical devices, biosafety level, 4BL4 laboratories is defined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or prohibited in Burlington, the zoning bylaws, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Lincoln Property Company is the applicant. Item I is a continued public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.9, hazardous and toxic materials, chemical use storage, transport, disposal, or discharge of the zoning bylaws, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Lincoln Property Company is the applicant. Item J is a continued public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.2.7.12, generation or storage of hazardous materials in excess of the volumes classified as a very small quantity generated. VSQG of the zoning bylaws, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Lincoln Property Company is the applicant. Item K is a continued public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to section 4.3.2.15, storage and disposal of oils and fuels, petroleum products of the zoning bylaws. 1 Burlington Mall Road is the, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Lincoln Property Company is the applicant. Item L is a continued public hearing application for approval of a site plan, 1 Burlington Mall Road, Lincoln Property Group is the applicant. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue these matters to the planning board meeting of September 15th at the request of the applicant's attorney in an email dated August 18th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. So I don't know.
Opposed? Okay,
Madam Chair, can I make a request?
please.
I understand that Leahy is the folks that are using the lower parking lot as overflow.
Yep.
And can we contact Leahy to ask them anytime they're looking to go into a Burlington property for overflow parking that they come before us? So we can
I think
figure out
that's-
the things.
Yeah, I think that's valid. Staff, did you get that? So anytime contact Leahy anytime there's overflow. I mean, and I think maybe it just might be good practice just to contact them in general to see what their parking plans are for the future as a whole.
Oh, of course.
Please, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So moving forward to citizens' time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an item? Is there anyone that would like to speak on an item that's not currently on our agenda? Folks, so I'm just gonna stop the meeting again. If we do have new participants, staff, if you could please let me know. I see Susan. Susan, this evening, we're trying to identify folks who are joining meetings. While we do know you, there are other folks who haven't identified themselves, but if you would kindly do so for the record, I would appreciate it.
Sure, yeah. My name is Susan Cadillac. I'm Burlington resident, also on the General Bylaw Review Committee.
Thank you. There's another person on the meeting. You were removed from the meeting. You've now returned from the meeting a second time. We don't have your name, and I'd appreciate it if you would introduce yourself for the record. If you cannot do so, we're going to remove you.
George Bassler.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're not required to identify ourselves to participate in a public meeting, just so you know. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Moving forward for citizens' time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an item that's not on our agenda? Seeing no one? Okay. Moving forward, I just want to introduce our newest member of the planning board, Miss Jessica Sutherland. We are excited to have her as part of our group. Jessica, in her private world, works for Care.com. She's a director of marketing. She's passionate about the community. She's eager to contribute, and I think we'll all find that she will truly be an asset to the community. So please feel free to welcome Jessica, on your own time or at any point, because again, I think that she will be an asset to the board going forward. Other announcements, Liz?
Sure. Welcome Jessica from staff. The Housing Partnership Committee is actually having a meeting tomorrow at 11 a.m. via WebEx. They're looking to make some votes, so they need a quorum. Lots of voting happening this time of year. August 27th is the last day to register to vote for the state primary. You can do that at the town clerk's office in this building or at Grandview Farm until 5 p.m. The 29th is the deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot. And early voting is August 27th to September 2nd. And September 6th is the state primary election, and that's from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Burlington High School. The Sculpture Park Committee is meeting on August 30th at 4:30 via WebEx. Labor Day is September 5th. All town offices will be closed. The Zoning Bylaw Review Committee will have a meeting on September 14th at 6:30. They'll be in person in the annex, Town Hall gather your household hazardous materials, because Waste Collection Day is September 17th, which is a Saturday from 8:30 to noon at the Francis Wyman School, and that is the Board of Health that is doing that. So, that's all.
Thank you. Do any other members have any announcements? Barbara?
Yes, I just wanted to remind everyone watching that the Sculpture Park is hosting an ice cream social on Saturday, August 20th, this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. There will be free ice cream for everyone. The ice cream is provided by Wegmans, and there'll also be a balloon artist who will be making balloon sculptures for children and any adults that want them. So please come down.
Thank you. Member Cavino?
Yes, just one further thing. Just wanted to extend my, and I'm sure the board's condolences to the family of Shamal Shadori.
Please, thank you.
Who was the past DPW head during a very tumultuous time when we were trying to find the source of the contamination over in the Middlesex Turnpike. And he was actually DPW head when that new pumping station that sits on Middlesex Turnpike was built. So he contributed a lot to the town, and sorry to see him go.
Thank you, Ernie. And then also at the Pocket Park, for the next, every Thursday in the month of September, there's gonna be a beer garden. I don't know the exact hours, but I will make sure that we post those, going forward. I wanna say it's 3 to 6 or 3
Yeah,
to
we can
7.
also post them on our social media as well.
If we could do that, that would be great, staff. Appreciate it. Okay, anyone else? Seeing no one. Moving forward to matters of appointment.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we take item L out of order.
Thank you. Item, technically E. E?
Yes, it's for 6 Olean Road.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to
7E.
make a motion that we take item E out of order for discussion purposes. Thank you.
That was our confusion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item E is,
So that's on page 6 of your staff report, and our numbering got.
Got whacked, out of
screwed up,
whack,
sorry.
because we continued One Mall Road, so
Got it.
everything got screwed up. I am
Got
so
it.
sorry.
okay. We'll work on the alphabet next week.
Thanks.
Item E is a public hearing. Application for approval of special permit pursuant to section 1.3, non-conforming single and two-family, non-conforming single and two-family residential structures at the zoning bylaws. 6 Olean Road. Jeff Grant is the applicant. Mr. Grant, would you kindly join us at the microphone and please state your name for the record?
Jeff Grant.
Hi, Jeff. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your application?
Yes, so I had an existing garage there, and unfortunately it burnt down due to an accident. And essentially what I'm hoping to do is build in the existing footprint, but then extending along the back lot line another, I think it's 12 feet, I believe it is. Because I don't know the exact dimensions of the old structure because it burnt down. And we've only been there for 3 years, so I never took measurements of the existing structure. For a home office for my wife, she works from home. So we want to have the garage for our vehicles and storage and stuff, but also a home office for her. It's only extending along the back lot line. I've spoken to both of the neighbors on both sides, even though it's not really extending along the right side. It's just the back lot line. And they've had no issues. They said they're happy for it. And if anything, they're happy because it'll give them a little bit more privacy as well from our yard.
Staff, were all neighbors notified?
Yes, part of this special permit, they all had to be notified.
And we didn't hear back from any neighbors, any complaints? Everybody loves the idea because they want their privacy?
Our office had nothing from any of the abutting neighbors. No.
I appreciate it, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Member Gaffney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question, are you gonna have any plumbing in the garage?
Yes, that is the plan. I plan on doing like a wet sink, and then potentially a toilet, yes.
So for the board's benefit, many years ago, there was discussion about a garage and having plumbing in there and turning that into a secondary residence. So I believe, maybe I was on the Board of Appeals at the time, that was not entertained or from putting the plumbing in there. Others may want to consider that.
What are the dimensions of the office? I can see it outlined in blue, but I can't really tell what the dimensions are. Can we see that?
Do you know which,
It is 12 by 20.
sorry, I'm wrong. Everybody's busy.
I believe it's 12 by 22.
12 by 23.
Yeah, 12, yeah.
Yeah, it's 12 by 22, yes.
And if there's a half bath that would be within that footprint?
Yes. Well, no, I'm sorry. The plans show it on the second floor, actually. Because we're not sure if that will actually work with the staircase yet. I mean, these plans were kind of drawn up quickly because I had to submit these to the building department first. And if I'm gonna build this, it had to kind of get going quick, because I think I only have a year.
Are you building this yourself? Did you drop these plans or was somebody?
No, they're actually from the old building inspector of Burlington. I forget his name.
Drawing plans.
Okay.
It should be over there
So-
on the left side.
Is the entire new structure 2 stories or just the
No,
office section?
just over the garage section.
Okay, so the office
the
is one
office side-
floor.
Yeah, and it'll just be like open to above kind of thing. There won't be.
So the office will have almost like a cathedral ceiling?
Yes.
And there'll be a
And then
staircase that goes
above
up?
where it says office on there, will realistically probably be storage
Okay. And that's-
above,
if you
because
had a
there's
bathroom,
there's
that's
really
where it
not
would
much
be.
room up there, yeah.
Okay.
And so, I'm sorry, you said the plumbing's for a half bath?
Yes, we wouldn't have,
Staff, can we restrict it to a half bath? Is that within our purview or no? Okay.
No.
Can we restrict whether or not he has cooking services in that facility?
Couldn't we put it as a condition of the special permit?
I mean, you can have a condition of where, kind of saying, like, the application is for this, so this is what we understand that this is. It's not these other things. And
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
address Member Gaffney's concerns.
Yeah, I mean, but it's, what's in front of you is not, it's a garage with an office and a half bath, which, we can state that within the decision, and then say, clearly, we don't want it to be these other things, and that would be a different permit than what we're approving.
I mean, are you comfortable with that?
Not at all, because
Okay.
what happens is over time, people forget about it and nobody checks on it. So, I don't know, I've been in many garages, probably you have too. I don't know any that has plumbing. My wet sink is down the basement, so if I know a shed that has a toilet in it, that's a pool house, something like that. Are you gonna plan to put a pool out there or something, or?
no, it's essentially just
An office?
for a toilet for my wife to be able to go to the toilet when she's out there.
Yeah.
What's the concern? I'm sorry.
Well, to turn into a secondary residence out there, people living in that, because you basically have the upstairs, which would be, your the living quarters, and then you've got the downstairs with the bath with, now it's gonna be a toilet, it'll be a sink, and then another half bath, a shower, or whatever else you're gonna put in there without. So I think you really want, I don't know how you put conditions on that, but a garage, and again, the garage size is 12 by 23, is that what I heard?
No.
No, that's the side section.
Okay, just,
The size of the office is 12 by 23.
okay, and so the whole structure, how big is the whole structure together?
34 by 24.
24?
But there's a jog. The garage portion is 24 deep, and the office section will be 26.
That's the size of my cape. Just to kind of give you an idea of where my thought process is here.
I understand what you're saying. I think, I don't want to disparage this family from doing what they need to do. I mean, at the end of the day, there could be another family that puts a bathroom in their basement and a kitchen, and then next thing you know, they're renting out. You know, we can't monitor what everybody's doing. You know, I think he seems like a stand-up guy.
Yeah, I think longer term, I think.
And I
plan,
understand that,
yeah,
but
so
you know,
he's
again.
fine guy, I'm sure.
Just so the upstairs portion is much smaller than what you would, than that footprint. Because those two, because it's a dormer in the front, so there's, you know, the roof takes away a significant portion of that. I don't even believe you could fit a kitchenette or anything else in there, to be honest. Because the right side, where the stairs are, take away that whole side.
What happens is people block off the garage door and then make that
Oh,
whole.
Sure. So,
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, even if it was just a garage without anything else, I could.
Mr. Grant, if you've ever been in a condo or an apartment in New York City, you can imagine how much you can in a very
Make a
small
lot of
space.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to IKEA, that reinforces
Yeah.
that statement.
Yeah.
Member Covino?
Yes, I would think that if we issue a permit for what he's requesting, and somehow or another we can say this is not a permit for a second residence.
Sure.
Because really, when you think about it, all the huge houses that are being constructed in
Any
Burlington
of
now,
them could have it.
with 5 bathrooms
Sure.
and 6 bedrooms, you got at least a 3-family there, Bill, if you put the door in the right place, you know what I mean?
I'm not
So-
saying that's not the case, yeah.
And
I think what the other thing that I would consider is any detached garage could have them close off the garage door and turn it into an accessory apartment.
Of course. But, you know, in essence,
But that would be illegal, because unless they came to us for permission.
right, he's
if-
asking us, you know, he's being forthright and saying, here, I want to build a garage, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bathroom here. He could just say, hey, guys, I'm putting up a garage, put some plumbing in, not get his permits, have it completely illegal. Again, I think forthright to deny this and continue to, I don't know, belabor something that we can't control when potentially there may be other residents doing the same is not the best use of our time.
I guess one other thing I'll say too is that I could just build without coming to get this permit on the existing footprint, and that would essentially be the same area as what the concern is.
Right.
I think that's.
Right, no,
only defense
that's what
to
I was
that.
just saying, so, sorry, is there anything new that we'd like to add, or is there any other concerns that we'd
Maybe
like
we
to
could add
address?
in the order, what he said.
I'm sorry?
Maybe we could add in an order saying that it's not a 2-family.
Well,
We
no,
could do
and that's
that.
what we're doing, we're, you know,
Yeah.
in the,
In the conditions.
if we were to recommend favorably, we would say that it would be an office with a half bath, and this is exactly, you know, the intended use. Anything otherwise, you know, if he decided to expand upon that, then he should come back in front of the board.
I'm
Anything else?
comfortable with that language.
I think, if I may add, I think at one time, I don't know if it's still done now, but the building inspector wouldn't grant a permit if it appeared that there was a second dwelling. In other words, at one time you couldn't, I don't know if you can now, but you couldn't have a kitchen in your basement at one time. Whether you can now or not, I'm not sure, because that was, it was thought by the building department that the intention was to put a second family in there or
Sure.
whatever. Sure. So there's a little bit of checks and balances there, and we do have a.
So we could even put in the language, some extra language saying that you can't put in a kitchen, because you can't
Right.
sell it as a separate rental unit
Well,
if
that's
there's no
why,
kitchen.
well, that's why I had asked staff if we can put something in there that there aren't gonna be cooking facilities, and I think you said no.
Yeah, I mean, I
Put
think
something,
you're considering this is not substantially more detrimental because it is what this
Correct.
is,
Right.
not what it
Could
isn't.
be.
And we can put in, you know, any list of things that you're
Okay.
concerned about.
Okay.
okay, so,
But I don't think there is.
this is a public hearing, is there anyone in the, audience that has any questions, comments, concerns that they'd like to make upon this matter? Staff seeing no one,
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion pursuant to Section 6.1.3, non-conforming single and two-family residential structures of the zoning bylaw. Planning Board finds that the extension, alteration, and change of the non-conforming detached residential garage at 6 Olean Road will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than previously existing non-conforming detached garage as contained in Exhibit A attached as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Good luck with your construction.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry, was it
One
an extension?
Okay.
Good luck with your construction,
Thank
sir.
you very
Have a
much.
good evening. Don't put a kitchen in there, okay? Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, so then we go back.
Okay, moving on.
We're back to A, everyone.
Eight?
Oh.
Okay.
Well, it's actually not A on there.
Is that like
It's
the beginning?
actually,
We're looking at item H,
we're actually
also
looking.
known as A.
The bottom of page
Come on.
3.
Yep,
Okay.
that's right. We sure are.
Item A is a public hearing petition to amend the zoning bylaw, Article 2, definitions, and Article 5, dimensional requirements to address groundwater separation for one dwelling district, submitted by the planning board.
Page 3.
Staff, tell us a little bit about this.
Sure. So, as previously discussed in the Maytown meeting, or before the Maytown meeting, we talked about, and throughout this process, when we have a subdivision, the board's very concerned about groundwater being displaced and then ending up becoming surface water and ending up flooding other areas of town. And so we have defined groundwater and as estimated seasonal high groundwater. It's the estimated highest level of the zone of saturation in the soil in most years under a normal wet season, as determined by a licensed soil evaluator. So they will, if they find it, they will see different colors and striations in the soil, which will indicate to them, okay, this is definitely estimated seasonal high groundwater. I don't know what this means. Or, okay, so striations, redox,
Redoxymorphic features within the soil.
Okay.
Kristen did some deep research.
I asked conservation.
Okay.
Got it. So they'll be able to see it. We don't need the applicants to find this layer, but if it's present in where they are digging for a slab or foundation, it will become apparent. So the purpose of this bylaw, again, is to protect groundwater and to keep it where it belongs, which is in the ground, to control adverse effects in basement floors below the seasonal high groundwater, reduce flooding, pumping, and discharge of groundwater, and preventing illicit connections into the town sewer and stormwater system. So, as you see here, this is, a house that's built above the estimated seasonal high groundwater. The sump pump only runs during extreme storm events. If you can read that, I know it's small. This is not what we don't want. Sump pump is constantly pumping because it's constantly pumping displaced groundwater into neighboring properties or into our stormwater system, which is stormwater because it's supposed to be stormwater, not groundwater. So that's the big issue. So Caleb, our amazing assistant planner, created this beautiful graphic showing the displacement of water, which is essentially you have your stormwater, which is supposed to go into the stormwater system. And, we don't want basements constantly pumping water, groundwater onto the surface. So this is the applicability. So this would apply to all new construction of single-family dwellings, but also this is going to apply in all zoning areas. We always see commercial properties, so we do this anyway. But this is going to apply now to residential dwellings. So any additions to existing buildings or outbuildings, anything that's increasing an impervious footprint by 750 square feet on the lot. And we, as you previously recall, we had said that there needed to be a 2-foot separation between the groundwater and the slab. And the 2-foot separation is actually just there because it's an old, it's a bylaw regarding septic systems, that if you have a septic system, you need to have 2 feet or it's not gonna percolate properly. So in this instance, we don't need your basement floor to percolate, so as long as you're above it, everything should work. And so, next slide, Kristen. Oh, these are the things that, if you find that where you're gonna build is in the estimated seasonal high groundwater, you need to have engineering plans by a professional civil engineer showing foundation, perimeter drains, or a management system that will handle that water to mitigate and control it. The discharge has to be done on-site, on your property, and that discharge cannot go into the municipal stormwater system. It's groundwater, it needs to stay in the ground. And it needs to be a professional civil engineer, and they need to certify that the groundwater will be retained on site, so they need to stamp the plan and put their name on it. The other thing we talked about was Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53G, kind of gives the town the ability to do peer review if they feel like there's nobody in-house who has the expertise to really evaluate something. And since this is for single-family homes, we didn't want it to be a surprise to homeowners, so we just wanted to put it in there and make sure that they're aware of that system. And 5.166 really, 5.166. That's just standard language. Okay, so that is groundwater. I'm gonna leave it here. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
No, I don't. Oh, I don't right out of the gate. I did want
Nice
to,
drawing,
just thank Sherry Ellis and Susan Cadillac for assisting us. As we've gone through this process, it's been a little bit of a long road with lots of variations. So I just wanted to give credit where credit's due. I don't have any specific questions. Member Covino, you mentioned you had your hand up.
I did have a question for Liz, I guess. So the way this is written, you could actually build a house that was 2 feet below the groundwater level as long as you could.
As long as you can.
Prove that, so any idea how that works? We just pumping water in a circle, is that what happens?
How they would prove it?
No, how?
How the mitigation would work?
Yes. Do you have any idea?
So if you go to the slide with the check mark and the X. Keep going.
No, sorry, down. You want me to go down?
Yep, that one.
So this is,
So you guys approve commercial properties all the time. And they have big parking lots, and they have lots of roof, and they have,
Right.
and they need, all that goes somewhere. And in the sense of, mostly, we're talking about stormwater, not as much groundwater displacement, but once a sump pump puts it up, it's stormwater. So, and we see these systems in, the engineered systems underground to hold back water, to then percolate at a slower rate, so you're not getting the runoff or,
it's not rushing.
pre and post drainage water flow divisions. That's why you need an engineer. So if you need to figure out if you can somewhere else on site create an engineered system to make sure the pre and the post water situation is not any different for the neighborhood around you, and an engineer needs to certify that that's the case.
Right. Usually those are large parcels, usually. And I'm thinking that, okay, so the house is on 20,000 square feet. The footprint of the house takes up, 10%, a little more probably, now. So it is possible, is what you're telling me.
It
What
is
you're
possible, but if an engineer states that it isn't possible, then it isn't possible. Like if you want to build an addition to your house and it's in the seasonal high groundwater and you hire an engineer to do a plan and they refuse to stamp the plan because they can't mitigate it on your property, then
Then you can't build it.
you cannot build it.
But you're saying there are ways to mitigate it, is what I'm asking.
Yes.
I mean, depending on the site feature. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
looking at a site that's surrounded by wetland and you're like at bedrock or whatever, like there's just nowhere things can go, then you're not gonna be able to build in the water
Okay.
table.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
My question is regarding what you were talking about, that someone, the homeowner or the builder or someone, needs to prove that the addition basement is not within the groundwater. And you talked about the striations in the soil. I, as a regular homeowner, would not know what that looks like. Who is going to be the person who would be responsible for making that decision? Is that something a builder is qualified to do? Is it something that you would have to hire an engineer to look at? How would, suppose that I hire my cousin and he's gonna add an addition onto my house, and he doesn't know what the striation in the soil is supposed to look like. How do we know that that decision is being made by someone who's qualified to make it?
Where the stamped engineer plans come in?
No, you need to have
Plans are
you need
in
to
the
have a
groundwater.
licensed soil
You
evaluator.
need to have a license. soil.
Okay, is that
They-
clear in here?
Yes, that's in
It's there.
the very first section.
Okay, I missed that part. Thank you.
So
It's
this,
within the
My cousin
definition
can't do it.
as well as.
License.
If your
this
cousin's
is
a
just on new property or new,
This
No,
is on
it's everybody.
everything. This is on residential, commercial, new property,
Oh, yeah.
old property.
But
But
new-
even,
additions,
even
anything.
like an addition.
New
Even
construction.
an
new
addition,
construction
Yeah.
addition.
Yeah,
everything.
So-
if your new construction is over 750, has a footprint of 750 square feet or greater.
Attached or separate.
So the homeowner
You
has
need
to
an outbuilding or
prove that it's
attached
not
Property
within
owner, 'cause it's
the
not just
seasonal high
homeowners.
water. Okay, the property owner has to prove that it's not within the seasonal high water level, and that has to be done by a
Soil,
Licensed soil evaluator.
licensed soil evaluator. Thank
I
you.
didn't even know they had
So
that.
let's use the scenario you guys gave where they weren't able to put the system in because there's bedrock there, right? Is that a hardship to the land? Could they get a variance from this based on that? Because that's a true hardship to the land, right? So is that something they could circumvent if they can't build, basically circumvent the bylaw?
Because it's a dimension, is that what you're saying?
Well, because of bedrock, she said if they can't put the system in because there's ledge and
Right, or it's all
bedrock or
wet or
whatever,
whatever.
Or for whatever reason, yeah.
or for whatever reason, because it's a truly, a feature of the land that prevents them from being able to put that in, is that something they can get a variance for? Good question.
That is an excellent
Okay,
question.
another question.
Well, hold on a
Is
second.
it-
Let's go back to
I
this
can,
one
I can,
first.
I can
it's
actually
related.
help with that, because
okay.
that's not only, they have to meet all the conditions of the Board of Appeals, right? And one of them is to the benefit of the town.
So it
if-
wouldn't be for the benefit of the town, right?
But that's up to the Board of Appeals,
Sure.
and that's subjective, so
Right.
it's possible, likely.
Okay.
Understood.
I mean, if that were truly the case, if you were gonna hold them to everybody's feet to the fire on that, there's not an addition in the town that's more beneficial to the
Right.
town.
Well, it can't be detrimental to the neighborhood.
I think
that's
it's-
what Joel's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but, yeah,
on that same point then, and this is probably not gonna be a very popular statement, is there a world in which we could just say, you cannot build if it's in the seasonal groundwater, you have to stay above that?
Yeah. What happens then is they fill in the lot.
Well,
Yeah.
in moving from not having the 2 foot and just moving from you must be above it, you're kind of getting away from the dimension. And so when you can't
Oh,
change,
okay.
so when it's a use, we don't do use variances. So is it the dimension that you're asking for a variance, or is it the use in that? Anyway, so I'm splitting hairs a little, and I don't have a good explanation, but I think when we had the previous iteration where it was 2 feet and then you go to get a variance for
Right.
less than 2 feet, and everyone was concerned that the Board of Appeals wasn't the place to have a conversation about the engineering of the lot to make sure it's not affecting your properties. So what we looked at here was specific criteria where, like, if you're above it, good. If you're not above it, you need to meet these criterias. And are these criterias the dimensional piece, or are they part of the ability to have the use in that location? So,
When is the effective date?
the effective date would be the passage at town meeting.
So the time town meeting votes.
So, I mean, as a basic premise, right now, we have single-family homes that are built, and there's no requirement to submit this type of information to the building department. So we don't know. There's building permits that get submitted, and we don't know where, there's no information of where the estimated seasonal high groundwater table is. What this does is allow us to, and require us to know, and then require to be above it. And if you're not above it, you need to do additional engineering. I will note that working with conservation, they're also moving forward with their stormwater bylaw. For all new construction, the stormwater bylaw will be likely triggered and require an engineer to be part of that conversation of how to deal with stormwater on single-family homes, because there'll be a certain threshold of impervious surface. So with this, we pulled back, so there were some stormwater things that an engineer would need in here. We pulled this back to just be dealing with groundwater and the effects of groundwater, whether it's displacement underground or pulling up from the sump pump and becoming stormwater, but leaving that then to the stormwater bylaw. So, and to clarify that you need to be above the estimated seasonal high groundwater table, not you have to dig down 30 feet to find it to make sure that you are. You need to dig down enough to make sure you clarify there's at least a separation between your basement, your slab, or your crawl space. So this is a big step forward in getting the information that we need to know if there's what's going on those properties when they're being built, to then have that conversation so we can put things in place to not affect our neighbors or people downstream. And we had a very good conversation at zoning bylaw review.
Yeah, it was a real
topic.
super positive. So.
And the red line that you see in this slide presentation is some of the red line that came from ZBRC comments. That just wanted to incorporate that it wasn't kind of more sentence structure, that this actually works better in the review.
What town meeting is targeted with this?
September.
This September?
Yes. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? If not, I'm going to open it up to the public. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions, concerns, comments that they'd like to make regarding this matter? Staff?
Wait, someone has their hand up. See who it
Susan
is.
Cadillac? I couldn't see Jen's face, but I can see Susan's name. Go figure.
I
Sorry,
can't
Jen.
see
Susan, what can we do for you?
Just a quick comment. Someone had asked, how you would know if you didn't have someone on site who had the knowledge. Once you excavate a hole for a foundation, the building inspector has to come and inspect that site, and they'll see the dirt. So even if for whatever reason someone doesn't see it, he will see it. And also a lot of times you can't miss it because the water is flowing and you have to pump it. So a lot of times if you're in the water, it's you're in a swimming pool, you can tell. So if all else fails, the building inspector will be able to inspect the hole. That was all.
Thank you, Susan. Staff, remember the picture that I had submitted of that house where that was just, as to Susan's point, looks like a big pool? That might be something that might be helpful if we're gonna put a presentation together for town meeting. Is there anyone else in the audience that has any questions, comments, concerns regarding this matter? Sherry Ellis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to applaud the visuals and graphics. We talked about that at CBRC and did a good job, because I think that's a lot of it is people understanding actually groundwater versus stormwater. So I think that was a good thing. I just wanted to comment on that. And then I guess I can't remember who mentioned something about, is there a situation where you can't, do something because of the groundwater? I think that would be a good question for town council. I mean, the way I read this is you can do it if you're above it, above the ESH, or whatever all those letters are. And if you're below it, then you have to do A, B, and C, and you have to do all of those. So to me, if you can't do A, B, and C, then you can't do it at all. But is that really legally correct? So I think that might want to be answered.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. And that was Member Pemba. You had that question. Is there anyone else in the audience that has any questions, comments, concerns regarding this matter?
hope you can hear me, Mildred Nash,
Yes, Mrs.
363.
Yes, Ms. Nash.
Okay, I have a question, with the thing you're proposing here, which I think is an excellent idea, and I agree with Sherry, the presentation was excellent. I keep wondering with all the tear downs of houses where they put mansions in, but it's a totally new, place, even though it's on a property that had a house on it before, would this article apply to such construction as well?
Yes.
Yes, this would apply to all construction, residential, commercial, and otherwise.
Yes.
Okay, if they can say, well, there was a house on it before, so we don't have to comply. I'm thinking, I'm in an area where when we moved in, we would go ice skating in the swamp, where a few years later, they built houses, which of course have all kinds of problems, and if there was a tear down in that kind of area, they would have to go through this procedure so that we wouldn't have another such fiasco on our hands, am I right?
Yes. So for all tear downs, yes, this would be triggered for all new construction. If there was a smaller house and they added on to that, the trigger for the addition is 750 square foot footprint. So if they just added a 250 square foot addition to an existing house, it may not be triggered. So just to clarify, but for the most part, all new construction, and for the most part, what we're seeing is the most common. We asked actually conservation what kind of the average size of addition, like what they're seeing in construction, and that's where we.
750 is what they came up with. and that's what
We captured quite a bit at the 750 number. If you remember, we had 1,000.
Did we have, do you know what percentage of new construction is 750 versus 1,000 versus, say, like 500? I mean, any idea?
Tiny.
I don't have the numbers.
I don't need the number, I mean,
But-
I
but
just
we
didn't know if
said-
you knew
we said,
offhand.
what's more than half, and I think she said if you get down to the 700 or 750, it was more than 2/3 of, just construction,
Sure.
just in general, it was happening. But we can clarify
So
exactly.
it has
this is
nothing
great.
to do with the footprint. It has to do with the square footage of the addition.
No,
It's
the
the
footprint.
It is the
Okay, so
footprint.
it's a 750 square foot footprint.
Footprint,
So it could be a 1,500 square foot addition.
right.
Or a less, it could be a 1,400 square foot addition.
Sure.
And it doesn't trigger it.
Yeah.
If it was, the footprint is the trigger.
Yeah.
Right, so
Whatever
you-
you said above that is a different story, so
Right.
it's 750 square feet on the ground.
Right, so you could,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, you could technically even cantilever over the tops. You could have,
Yeah.
you know, you could have
Sure.
even more square footage that doesn't trigger it. So it's a pretty, I mean, 750 square feet is a pretty, a footprint, that's pretty good sized footprint.
Oh, so my whole house.
Oh,
What's that?
Thank you very much, I
I was
appreciate
about
your
that
work,
footprint.
because this sounds like an excellent piece of zoning material that is long since overdue, because it isn't going to be a drought forever here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Nash, I hope so, because my lawn looks terrible. We appreciate the support. Is there anyone else in the audience that has any questions, comments, concerns regarding this matter? Seeing no one, may I have a motion, please?
Yeah, I just have a question first. Joe?
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that you want to see a number lower than 750?
No, I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay.
that I'm just clarifying
Okay.
that that's a pretty,
Okay.
you can still build a pretty good size
Yes,
addition
you
and
can.
not have to
Sure.
fall under
Yeah,
this.
I just wanted to
addition.
clarify that before we moved on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not new house, addition.
Yes.
No, addition.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
okay.
could build, you could build
Thank
a
you.
good size addition and not trigger this.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right?
Opposed? Abstain.
Madam Chair, I would further like to make a motion to recommend favorably on Article 16, the petition to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Burlington zoning bylaw to add a new definition in Article 2 for groundwater and dimensional provisions in Article 5, requiring all new building construction, including single-family dwellings or additions to existing buildings or dwellings, and/or separate buildings or dwellings that increases building dwelling footprint by more than 750 square feet on the lot within all zoning districts submitted by the planning board.
second for discussion. I just had a thought, and
Sure.
maybe somebody already, maybe it was answered already, but, so I put a house up that has less than a new house, less than a 750-foot footprint.
You're triggered, you have a new house.
Here,
It's
okay.
new construction.
Any new construction
neighbors are gonna
or-
love you.
Okay.
It's new,
All right,
yeah.
yeah.
Wait a minute.
So it's any new construction
Now,
or
you,
in addition?
you just confused me, because new construction,
All
Is
new
an addition.
construction.
All new
No, but
construction.
all, if you tear down a house or there's not a house there, new construction
well, an
triggers this
addition is
bylaw.
new construction.
No, and
No,
it's
but
not.
it's,
Spelled
you
out.
have an existing
It's-
house that you're not, that you're putting an addition on. It is new construction,
Of
but we're
course it's new
separating.
construction.
But it's it's an addition to an existing house.
Right, but it's new construction.
Yeah, but there-
So it's not,
there-
so it's not new construction we're talking about, it's,
It's both. So if
Well,
it's,
it
if it's
says new building construction,
Well, it-
all new building construction, and also additions to existing buildings.
So if you're building a 750 square foot addition on a 1970s house, it triggers. If you demo a house and you build a new house, even if it's a 700 square foot house, to
Right.
Member Pagano's point, it triggers.
But the-
So either way,
but a
it's
new
triggered.
addition could be 700. A new
Yes,
addition,
correct.
which is new construction,
Yes,
could be 700 square feet and not trigger.
correct.
Okay, then I thought you said all new construction. That's not
Sorry.
true. Right, yeah.
Well, I think it's
Depends on the definition.
Perception, I guess.
Yes, all new.
Build-
not on
It says
something
new
that's still there.
building construction.
Well, no,
It is confusing, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's,
So do we want to clarify that? Do we want to continue?
I feel like
I think this is already printed in the warrant.
Oh, no, it's not.
well, how,
That-
so,
So if, all right, so I guess maybe to just
All
go back
new-
to.
Maybe we have bylaw review still here that should be part of it.
Sherry, are you still online with us?
I am still here, and I totally missed exactly what you said.
Okay, so I guess here's the question. We're looking at, if it's new construction, we're all on the understanding, new construction is new construction, something built from the ground up, nothing pre-existing. If we're talking about an addition to, say, a 1970 house that is 700 square feet, is that still considered new construction, or or are we saying that the trigger is 750 and above on a 1970 style house? My perception is if it's anything over 750 on a 1970 style house, that would be the trigger. But if it's 600 square feet on a 1970 style house, it would not trigger. So,
that's what my understanding, but then I was confused when they said all new construction.
So the applicability, number one, all new building construction, including single-family homes. That's number one.
so I think he's getting stuck on the new construction, because he's saying new construction, if it's an addition, it's still new construction.
It was no construction under that addition prior to
Right.
it being built. That's new
Okay.
construction.
Okay,
I mean, that's,
So this is not the first time any town has done this, right? What's the language in other towns? Do we look at that?
This is some of the language that we've seen in other towns.
This is, yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is.
all right,
taken
so is the definition, I guess maybe, are we adding definitions to state that new construction
I
is,
think,
there is nothing pre-existing on the land, and that the improvements of a vacant lot is considered new construction?
Vacant
I mean,
lot or after demo? we can-
Yes,
But I think it would
vacant
be,
lot or after demo.
the
Okay.
definition would be for new building construction,
And
not just
then
new construction.
anything further, sorry, Joe, is considered an addition, even though it's new to that land.
right, as long as
But
you have a
under the-
definition, as long as you have
under-
definitions, because
Okay.
that's arguable, not even a question,
Agreed.
it's
No,
arguable.
and I think that's a great point.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So
That would not include huge swimming pool.
if you're going to put a 750 square foot swimming pool at your house, I'm coming over to swim.
That's a 20 by 40, that'd be ridiculous.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, is it only dwelling? Is it only dwelling, or is it swimming pool? Which,
The word building is in there,
Yeah, it says building.
because, I mean, but the reality of it is, you're gonna get the same issue with a swimming pool.
or with a big paving driveway.
So
More
do
the
we
paved
want to
road.
change the building dwelling footprint to structure
No.
footprint? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but, and I only say that because of the definition of structure in the zoning bylaw.
Oh, okay.
It's just, and we went over that,
Okay.
building, structure, dwelling, like, what
Sure.
are the exact terminology? This is
Yeah.
on
I think we
purpose.
can feel pretty comfortable that people aren't going to build pools that are 750
Yeah,
for other reasons as well.
Well, and pools go, I think all pools go to Concom, no?
I'm pretty sure they.
Oh, they do?
Sure, okay.
And town council has reviewed these
Yeah,
jobs.
we didn't get any red flags from her on this, so.
Okay. So we had a motion, we had a second. Are we ready to move forward?
We'll
With-
try to
with-
figure out this amendment
Okay.
of vacant lot.
Do we need to hold off
Is
before
this-
we?
No, I'm just saying, we will make,
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
clarify
Okay,
that.
and then,
As amended.
as amended, but prior to this going to print, would you please send it to all board members?
So be up early tomorrow, waiting for this email, because it's going to print tomorrow.
Sounds
Well,
good.
it might be Monday, but.
Sherry, did you have anything, I'm sorry, Liz. Sherry, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
No, I just, wanted to, I think, clarify, because this is triggered by a building permit, correct? So it doesn't matter if it's a vacant lot, because as soon as you go to build something on, this is triggered with the application of a building permit, correct?
Unless it's 750 square feet of
Well,
addition or new construction, which new construction would get a building permit and.
additions, you get a building permit if you're gonna have an addition on there, so.
Right, but if it's under 750 square foot addition, it would not be triggered.
Correct, but anything, again, with a new construction, whether it's vacant lot or if it's, as soon as they raise the building, that's one permit, where their demolition, that's a permit.
Correct.
And then if they're gonna do anything, it's gonna be a building permit, so this is gonna be triggered. So I don't think that vacant lot is, a problem, but that's just obviously town council can rule in on that.
How about the building of the construction of a building where no building exists, or no building previously exists?
Yeah.
Where no building.
Currently exists, because it could previously have existed, got torn down, so where no building currently exists.
That's covered here, because even if it's less than 750 square feet, it would require.
Right, well, that's the idea, if it's brand new, yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good,
That's-
a good change.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think before we vote and finalize anything, we really want to think that through. And it just, all this discussion tells us is that it's not
Completely clear.
completely clear, that's right.
Okay.
So I don't know, I'm not sure if we want to, we need to
so-
vote it, we need to.
So the print deadline is tomorrow. That needs to be in the select board's office, because it's going to print. So we can always tweak it for the actual town meeting and have a piece of paper. If, Joe, I know if you want to come into the office at some point and we can talk about it, bring it to town council.
But we'll try to add a clarifying.
We can definitely add a clarifying sentence that will cover, like, I cover what your concern is.
Are you comfortable with voting tonight, Joe, or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I am, as long as we have the ability to tweak the language and make sure it's,
The
very
intent is
clear
there.
by that.
Right.
We
So
know
we,
the intent, we want to get the language that clarifies it
Okay.
definitively before it goes to
Okay.
town meeting.
are you available tomorrow morning to meet with staff or?
I'm not.
Okay.
We'll send around some.
Send around something. We'll send around something. Check your email tomorrow early on. And we'll see, but
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
I mean, that's.
you have to get it to the selectmen's office before 1.
yes, we have to get it to the select.
All right, so everybody keep
there's
their
also-
phones handy.
There's also key triggers in the building code of like, it's classified as new construction, and then you have to meet all these other codes when it's new construction, so there is thresholds that exist. So I think we can figure something out that is that different.
But yeah,
In addition, and
Yeah.
totally.
I mean, ultimately, it is, to Sherry's point, it is the pulling of a building permit, and a building inspector is going to review that permit, and that is kind of where the triggering happens. So whether it is an addition to an existing house that has a footprint of over 700, the new portion is over 750 square foot footprint. If it's a tear down, it automatically triggers and a rebuild. Or if for some reason they find some undeveloped land in this town and build a house on undeveloped land,
it would be triggered. So those are the three.
So the one that will be interpreting the bylaw will be the building inspector.
Yes.
Building inspector.
Yeah.
What we're intending on doing. Tell me what you can.
That's what I,
what you
yeah,
can
that's what I was
defend.
trying to
Yeah.
say. That
Yep,
there's-
yep.
Okay.
There's
Does that make you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's, as long as he feels it's language he can defend, and, you know.
Yeah, we definitely we've talked to him about it.
Okay.
So, and he's, yeah.
Great. All right, we had a motion, we had a second. Everybody's ready? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 6-1.
6-1.
Huh? Oh,
Can she vote?
Jessica can vote. We
You
just
vote?
opened it tonight.
All right.
Yeah, we just opened the public
She
hearing.
can vote.
We're in.
Yay.
She can't vote on the Marriott when we like come back up.
Okay.
Okay.
But this
Okay.
one,
Jess, you still with us?
Yes.
All right, good. All right,
Was that your first
moving
vote?
forward.
Yes. Cool.
All right, moving forward.
So,
So this is B?
yeah, this is we're now on B, everyone.
Okay, good. Item B is a public hearing, petition to amend the zoning bylaw, Article 2, definitions, and Article 4, use regulations to address and define uses pertaining to smoke shops, submitted by the planning board. Talk to us, Liz.
Let me get it. Oh, okay, perfect. Let me get to the correct. So, this,
Thank you.
so we're bringing this, before the, town meeting based on, the discussion we had with the applicant who was, seeking to put, the smoke shop, in the town center, kind of in the area between, True North and the nail salon and, ice cream and all that stuff. And so there was kind of a debate about it as to whether, you know, that is the type of use that we want in general business. And so what we have come up with for this article, we are not banning all tobacco products from the town of Burlington. That's what this is not. It's not stopping at any convenience store, supermarket, from selling any tobacco-related products. What it is doing is if your principal use, if like 90% of your business is coming from tobacco-related products, and that is your store and that's all you do, that will only be allowed by special permit in the BT zoning district, which is the continuous traffic business district. So, so we have also, in doing that, we had to define smoke shop, and so that's here. I'll make it bigger for you because I know it's. And so any principal use, so basically if you're, the majority of your sales are going to smoking products, so that includes tobacco products, paraphernalia, electronic tobacco, and you know, things for recreational marijuana. If that's all you do, you know, if you want to open up a shop that just does that, you need to look in that zoning district and you need a special permit from this board. This does not regulate registered marijuana dispensaries, so those are medicinal marijuana dispensaries. That's a different animal than this.
or registered as
Or just, or retail.
When you talked about majority, but you also said 90%. Is 90% actually the trigger, or is there a percentage that is a trigger, or is that your sole function is tobacco products, blah, blah, blah? You could also sell cupcakes.
This is the exact question I had for Kristen today at 2:00.
Awesome. Kristen, what do you got for us?
And
Okay, if you sell 60% stuffed animals and, 60% tobacco use and 40% stuffed animals, I mean, is it,
Then you have two principal uses,
okay,
a toy store and a.
if you're 50/50,
And
we're
tobacco.
still there? I mean, kind
Yeah,
of
I
a
mean, you're
random
50/50,
business
it's,
plan,
I mean,
but-
it's the hard and fast is not, you know, an accessory use is 25% and the principal use is 75%. What's the principal use of your store?
If it's 50/50,
Then it's two principal uses.
okay.
If it's
I'm
40
asking the
If
questions
it's
that public may
80/20,
not
it
know.
might be two principal uses.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, it's really kind of what's the main use here. So, you know, we had not an argument, but kind of back and forth with some previous building inspectors of just kind of like how, there's multiple things happening here. Oh, well, that's just, it's kind of accessory. Well, no, well, we have an accessory use table like that. So does it fit there? So there is no accessory, unless you're with the groceries, like grocery tobacco. But that specifically, now that we're saying that this is a principal use, that other use has to be with, as kind of a part of more things for the use that's previously with convenience stores, tobacco and periodicals and soda fountains and stuff like that.
This also does not affect existing establishments that have already gotten special permits. So this is for kind of new businesses coming into town.
Understood.
So, if I'm correct in understanding, our goal here is to find out what the will of town meeting is on
Yes.
smoke shops, correct?
Yep.
We're not trying to impose our will upon the town, but it seemed to be a contentious issue when this came before us, so it seemed like a good idea to ask town meeting if they want smoke shops allowed or if they only want them available through special permit.
Agreed.
Yep, that was our intent.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think at least, everybody that was present on the board, I think at least one of us, every one of us got some type of feedback from either, another town meeting member or a mom or dad or parental figure or otherwise, so, I think this is good. Thank you. Is there anyone on the board that has any questions, concerns, or comments?
That's a question.
Of course.
How are you defining sales?
I think that we use like a common definition, so I would think it would be money transaction, a transactional.
What's your concern?
No, I was just curious how you would define, to your comment on if you have a lot of cupcakes, and let's say it is a cupcake shop, but they happen to also have it, but let's say 90% of their revenue or dollars transacted is actually coming from tobacco products. Would you define that as a smoke shop instead of a cupcake shop?
Okay, so you're saying not based on the sales, the
Are we talking
revenue
dollar? Are we
collected as
talking
opposed to.
product or
Right.
received?
So if the cupcakes are 50 cents a piece, but the
Buy one
tobacco
cupcake,
products are
get-
very expensive, you
Buy
would.
one
make it
cupcake, get one
smoky.
pipe free.
So you can
I guess,
buy a cup,
that's a
cupcake
good
for
question.
$10 and you get a free.
Well, that's what I just said, buy one
Yeah,
cupcake,
that's what
get
I
one,
heard.
Because cupcakes would be cheaper also
Yes.
than, so I think if you look at it both sides, the person who actually doesn't want it to represent a smoke shop, but because the other products might be cheap, would it be defined as smoke shop because the actual sales dollars are much higher than other product?
So we don't get that information. It's kind of up to the so the building department is the one that they interpret our bylaw and they enforce our bylaw. So if
Probably like perceived product.
perceived product amount, if they smell something that isn't right, they're gonna, that.
And it's not cupcakes?
It's not cupcakes. Guys, do not
It
intend
could be
that, but
cupcakes.
There it is.
It could be.
Fair, okay, we digress. Is there anyone else on the board that has any questions or
Could have
comments?
brownies, not cupcakes. They could have a few things.
I see a hand up.
Yep,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
what?
Might be good to know where the BT areas are, since it's a lot of that special permit.
The BT areas are, so we have actually where Burlington House of Pizza is. We have, I think it's the Speedway and the Midas Shop on Middlesex Turnpike are existing BT.
It's very limited.
Appreciate it.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak? Sherry, I see your hand up.
Thank you. To Ernie's point, sorry, I'm on the Bylaw Review Committee, sorry.
Thank you.
To Ernie's point, I don't know if you put the map up there, if that would help, but I think that would be good for town meeting to understand that it's very limited. So we don't have this discussion of where is it all over town.
Yeah.
And then I think to the other point, which I'm sorry, I can't see all you up there, so I'm not sure who mentioned it, but I think you covered it pretty well
if not the sale of it, the offering of it. So if you're offering and it's free, it's an offer. So I think you're covered with all of those: delivery, distribution, offering, furnishing, all of that. I think you're covered under all of that.
Thank you, Sherry. Sherry, that was our newest member, Jessica Sutherland, who had a great point. So just wanted
Welcome,
to.
Jessica. I'm sorry, I can't see who's on there. The screen is like less than an inch.
Sure. Member Covino.
Yes, just one other point, and I think it's been a point of confusion before. It is allowed. The town center overlay by special permit is, am I reading? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's
I'm
not.
sorry, I'm looking at the water resource. Beg your pardon,
It
you
is
gotta
not.
be able to see to do this.
We all, clearly, this is the group that needs glasses.
Sorry.
Is there anyone else in the audience that has any questions, comments, concerns regarding this matter?
Okay, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second, sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Chair, I'd further like to make a motion to recommend favorably on Article 15, the petition to create a new definition of smoke shop under Article 2, definitions, and Article 4, principal use regulation schedule to permit smoke shops as a principal use in the continuous traffic business BT zoning district.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 7-0. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take items 7C and 7D together for discussion purposes.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, item C is a public hearing, petition to amend the zoning bylaw, Article 3 districts, Article 4 use regulations, and Article 8 overlay districts, 8.5.0 town center to create a new zoning district, town center multifamily TCM submitted by the planning board. Item D is a public hearing, petition to rezone property to the town center multifamily TCM district, 137, 137R, 138, 139, 139A, 169, 171, 173 through 175, 185, 207, 209, 211, 276, Cambridge Street, 25, 26, 30, 36. I feel like saying Baco. Grant Avenue, 1 Kinney Avenue, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 24, Cherry Avenue, submitted by the planning board. Just want to put it out there, we're going to be continuing this. So this is really just to kind of open up the discussion and open up the minds of the board members. I know staff is going to be, putting forth a presentation just to kind of discuss where we're going to be going. But I really would like to table a lot of the discussion tonight so we can really put a lot of thought behind this. And hope that, with hopes that during our retreat, we can start really brainstorming about what this looks like going forward as a whole, because this is going to be a very intricate process that I think is going to really take a lot of brainstorming. So that being said, Liz, would you please?
So, again, gonna reiterate what the chair said. This is not going to September town meeting. This is a reaction to kind of what we heard at Maytown meeting. We heard, the 135, they wanted to put some multifamily there, and that did not pass. And we heard from town meeting that they were worried about this new MBTA communities regulation, and they wanted more planning behind it. So this is our first stab, back of the napkin. This is kind of what we came up with. So just high level, the requirement for MBTA communities, there are 175 MBTA communities that are subject to these requirements, so we are not alone in this. They are MGLC Chapter 40A, Section 40A. So basically, if we don't comply with the MBTA communities requirement, we will lose a lot of grant funding from the state for major infrastructure projects, other grants for other things going on. So local capital funds, MassWorks infrastructure. I asked engineering. We've gotten over $7 million in MassWorks funding and $175,000 in Housing Choice and other economic development programs. So I know people have heard in the news that other communities are saying we don't care, we're not doing it. But I think that is this 7 million isn't nothing. We've seen the town, the intersection of 95 and Middlesex Turnpike, that was a MassWorks project. All of that new stuff is fabulous. So the town center has 3 major overlay districts. So you have the Civic Center, we're in it, the Central Business District down the hill, and we're looking to put in a town center multifamily. And so I have made a map, I think. So Kristen did this PowerPoint. So if there's anything I'm missing, let me know.
Oh, Kristen?
No, it's fine. So in order to meet the MBTA community's requirement, you need to allow multifamily housing by right in a district. And so that doesn't mean that they won't have site plan review. That just means that a developer needs to be able to come in and say, the use is allowed. The use of multifamily is allowed. It has to be 15 units per acre of upland, and it has to be, it can't be age restricted. It has to be available for people, for families. And right now, the town center already allows by right multifamily houses that are 3 units or less. So already in the town center, we already allow, if you have a 3-unit home, that's allowed by right anyway.
With site plan review.
With, obviously, all of this is subject to site plan review. Also, because this is town center, it's also subject to design review. Meet town center design rules and regs. So this, I'm gonna make this bigger because you can't see it, but this was my literally back of the napkin. I looked at properties in the town center that, could be overhauled. I think of the Mass Glass site. We hear a lot from the neighbors on Terry Ave that they don't really like hearing the industrial uses down there, especially in the mornings. And Grant Ave, there's a lot of light industrial stuff down there. I'm sure it's kind of loud in the morning. There's master plan where there's a recommendation in the land use section master plan to have kind of transition zones between commercial and residential, and multifamily is, I would say, a good use of that. And then also 135, with that proposal, staff did not have a problem with that being multifamily. And then also kind of the other side, AJ Rose. It's a very, it's kind of, it's a, back then, it's a weird site. I don't know, like, it's just, so this is like big stab in the dark, and I'm assuming this is gonna get winnowed down and more specific, but this was kind of the first iteration of what, knowing, working here for 6 years, knowing the town center, this was my first stab at it. And this, MHA Communities does not require that we build units. It's not like 40B where you have to have a certain number of units. MHA Communities is, you need to prove to the state that these units could be built by right. It doesn't mean that they're going to be built. It takes a lot to have a project, a multifamily project come to fruition. It's not just anybody can do it. So, and maybe a property owner wouldn't even want it. So, it's just, that's kind of, Kristen, am I missing anything that I didn't cover that you can think of and maybe didn't?
I mean, you went through there's 3 things that are statutory, if you go back a little bit. I mean, just as you mentioned, that it's 15 units per acre. But yeah, that one. So the codified under 3A of section 3A of 40, those 3 things are 15 units per acre. It needs to be family housing, like not age-restricted housing, and it needs to be by right. And then there's, with these MBTA communities, it should be within a certain distance of a bus or of a train station, and so anyway, but the distance is not something that was in the statute. So those 3 things, there's no changing those things. Those are things hard and fast in the statute. The regulations just came out last week. We're still very much digesting them, as all the other communities are. So that's absolutely the reason why we're certainly not moving forward in September, to understand how this works. There's a lot of frustration with the first group of regulations that a district needed to be 25 acres, and a total of 50 acres in the town, but you can't use sites that are under 5 acres, and it was like, wait a minute. because you're looking at trying to enhance downtowns and do infill development with a lot of like disparate small parcels. So, anyway, it's just what the regulations were and what I think that in Massachusetts, the way we have our, most of our towns, how do we achieve trying to get to meeting the housing crisis in Massachusetts, but in a way for our community? So I think that the regulations, at least what I've read so far, are doing a better job of recognizing infrastructure limitations and more uniqueness of location. I'm not sure as much as we had hoped, but anyway, that's just something that we're gonna need to work through. This, as we've said before, the town center is going to be different. We're looking at housing options in the whole of town. The town center is going to be something different because we wanna retain the town center design review in the town center, as separate and distinct from something we might do as a housing proposal along Mall Road or something else in Network Drive or whatever. But so that's kind of phase 2. This is phase 1 of this, anyway, looking at this whole thing.
So is this contingent upon getting the grant that you have to look at all this information?
So the deadline to have this done is January 2024. We need to have the zoning in place. They did extend it. It was actually earlier, and last week they extended it, which was fabulous. But yes, basically they will look at, when we apply for grants, they will look and they will say, did this community meet MBTA requirements? And if not, they're probably going to give that money to a town that does. So,
It's worth,
Liz, I think,
get the money.
I'm sorry?
It's worth it for
Oh,
us.
absolutely. So I think, again, this is literally as Liz says, the back of the napkin. So I think if we have questions, knowing that we're not gonna have all the answers tonight, I think, one, we should pose those questions or any, brief comments, because I think this is really going to be a larger discussion that we're definitely not getting through, this evening.
Oh.
I think the other, definitely not. Even if we extended past 11, we're still not getting through it. I think, the other fact is that we're probably gonna have a subcommittee, so if this is something that you truly feel passionate about, we can have more than one member. Again, these are things to think about that we're gonna have to move forward with. So does anyone have any questions or things that we wanna bring to Liz and Kristen's attention right now? Or is it something that we can hold off and we wanna wait till our retreat? Because I think that that's really going to be the time that we're gonna trigger the meat and the need of this, this meeting. Member Gaffney?
Madam Chair, thank you. Just if the staff can send an email out with a link to the MBTA community's requirements, so we can do the homework.
oh yeah, absolutely, yep.
Yeah, if you could send that to all
I'll
of
throw
us,
a
that
link
would be
on
great.
that thing.
And I am on a housing meeting tomorrow.
Sure.
But they need a quorum.
I know, I'm doing it tomorrow.
Thank you.
So I think the concern I had last time as well, that the abutters weren't notified of the town center activity, so the actual people that would be next door to where this activity was happening were not, with the potential. So are we gonna be able to notify all the abutters in the town center with what you've had in the back of your napkin, at least initially, so we can get some input there?
Yeah, we can. We just have, knowing that we're continuing, we
Yeah.
do that before the opening.
And my last question would be, with all the items that you have identified here, what's the total acreage of that?
I would have to bring up my spreadsheet. I can get that to you tomorrow in an
Sure.
email. I'll
Yeah,
send it.
just-
If you could include that with,
Yeah, that'd be great.
the-
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Gaffney. Is there anyone else has any questions, comments, concerns from the board that we want to address with staff at this time? Okay, so we will table this to the retreat. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we continue this matter to the planning board meeting of September 15th, is that right?
Yep.
2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
When is the retreat? January 9th?
Well, I think that
To
that's
do,
something we'll probably talk about when we get to
Total
the
acreage.
discussion matters, but,
Thank you.
we may
So if it's
wanna-
after September 15th, we want to continue.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of what I was
That's
thinking.
why I was hesitating
Okay,
over
thank
the date.
Okay, so this is item
Sorry.
Barbara has the agenda, right?
Yeah, use the agenda,
Oh,
Okay.
we're talking about subdivision of land.
It is M.
Oh, okay, great. Item M is a public hearing, petition to amend the rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land in Burlington submitted by the planning board. Again, this is also something that, we're opening it up, and we don't have all the answers this evening, but we will be continuing this matter as well. So Liz, if you would please, start us off?
So, talking with Kristen about this, so, we kind of wanted to tighten up some language, regarding groundwater and stormwater, right? And then also add frontage, define frontage more clearly, so the frontage of a buildable lot needs to be on a completed right-of-way.
Correct, not a paper street.
A built-out road.
A built-out road.
Oh, okay.
A built-out road, so we can't use a paper street for frontage
Gotcha.
on subdivision. And then, do you want to go into a little more detail on groundwater and stormwater language, just?
So, in sections 11 of the subdivision rules and regs, as you guys know, you have waiver criteria for subdivisions. Section 11 is the drainage system, and as we've been getting into this a lot more in stormwater and groundwater, there is a reason to take some of the language from both the general bylaw and the zoning bylaw for groundwater and stormwater, especially to the negative effects that can happen if it's not properly figured out. And I think that should be bolstered criteria for you guys to be able to have it as a waiver, so if they're not doing it, you have more control in approving it. And also looking at some of the wetland filling that we've been talking about previously, and getting at kind of the drainage, stormwater, groundwater picture in that by reflecting what we're gonna be moving toward town meeting with groundwater and stormwater, and then putting some of that language into these rules and regs here. So we don't expect to do it before town meeting, there's no need to, but we wanna make sure that we're including that language in future subdivision development, so we have more control and oversight over, some of that stuff as we look at lotting and configurations.
Great. I don't have any comments or questions at this time, especially knowing that we're just opening this up. Does anyone have anything, or are we?
It's our first meeting.
Member Covino?
Just a curiosity question. Subdivision rules and regulations, those are ours,
Yep.
not town meetings hours.
Subdivision rules and regs are ours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. May I have a motion, please?
I would recommend continuing to October, I think, the 3rd.
Okay.
There we go, hold on.
What's that Thursday?
And if we're.
October 6th.
Okay, thank
Madam
you.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue this matter to the planning board meeting of October 6th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 7-0. Item, I'm sorry, yep. Item N is a public hearing, petition to amend the planning board town center design rules and regulations submitted by the planning board. Again, another item that we're opening up just to kind of keep our thoughts on things. So Liz, if you would kindly.
So I think this was, signage language in town center. This was for, Sally's committee, is that right? They wanna kind of button up town center signage. And so I think this is just, we promised them we'd open it. They did not submit anything for town meeting this time, but I think they're working on it, so.
Yeah, I think for January.
For January, so that's, we should talk about it, look at it, and so, again, I think it's an October 6th.
I think it's
I think it's October 6th, and as we continue this discussion about town center committee, kind of how this structure, there is language in the rules and regs that kind of get at who does what, so however that shakes out, we might use the opportunity to also figure that out, so.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. I would like to make a motion, Madam Chair, to continue this matter to the planning board meeting of October 6th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Okay, moving on.
Have minutes?
We do have minutes. Eric,
didn't see them yet.
They were June 16th.
They were June 16th. Yep, Eric sent them, Eric gave them to us and we sent them out. I think Caleb sent them out.
You did.
Yes.
I did not put them in this, but Eric reminded me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone, have people?
I have not
Okay.
reviewed them,
I have.
but if you guys have enough, I'm okay with you guys moving forward.
Well, if only two of us have, we
Okay.
probably should wait.
So let's move,
We'll just wait.
okay, so we'll,
Thank you anyway.
thank you.
Yes, thanks.
So, we appreciate it. You're doing a great job. Okay, discussion points. We are going to have that retreat coming up soon, so what does everybody's schedule look like? Is it nights, is it, lunchtime? I mean, I think personally for me, a night would be better.
I think we need more time than just lunchtime anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
So is there a night that's better than another for folks? Does
I
it
would
matter?
suggest that we take a Thursday that we don't have a meeting, because most of us don't plan many things on Thursdays. Is that
How about,
reasonable?
I was gonna say like a Friday, so you don't have to get up for work.
I mean, I'm okay with a Thursday.
I'm just looking at,
So we have
we have a meeting on
the 8th and the 20th.
the
well,
8th and the,
first.
no, the 1st and the 15th, right?
We don't have a meeting
We
on
do
the
not
first.
have a meeting on the
Oh.
1st because Labor Day weekend,
Oh, okay, so when's our meeting in September?
the 18th.
Just the 15th?
Oh, 15th, sorry.
And only
Today's-
the 15th?
Yes,
So
correct.
actually, it makes sense if we try and do it on, we only have one Thursday in September, and we usually have two Thursdays. Maybe we pick another Thursday in September and do it then.
Do we wanna do like the 15th and the?
No, the
20
15th is the day of
No,
our
I'm sorry.
meeting.
I'm
So
sorry,
the 22nd or the 8th.
I was gonna
Do
say.
you want to shoot for Wednesday, because staff
Oh,
That's
the
a true
afternoon.
story.
That's a
That's a
good
thought.
thought.
That's a
Yeah.
good thought, Val.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about,
14th?
Well, I was
I
thinking
was
you
gonna say
guys.
the 21st.
21st? Let me just
Oh,
see what I
sorry.
have on there. Oh, yes, that's a morning. I can do that.
Is everyone okay with the 21st?
Of
What
September.
day is that on?
It's a
It's a Wednesday.
I don't have a housing thing, do I? They
No,
meet
no,
on,
no. Well, even if you do,
I'm just
We
saying,
take precedence over that anyway.
you put me on these committees.
No, I mean, this
Oh,
is
you're
stuff.
not.
Housing Partnership wouldn't be meeting at night.
no, they meet on
I know.
Tuesdays.
They
They're-
meet at 5,
Yeah.
right, yeah, early, yeah.
Usually earlier too.
So September 21st,
3
which
seconds.
is a
Hold on,
Wednesday.
Bill's taking a look.
Yes.
It's,
Let me take a look.
That's my favorite date. Okay. 21st of September.
Mm-hmm.
So are we gonna be out late for this retreat? It should be
We're not taking
taking
it-
September
We're not going to the Berkshires,
22nd.
my friend. When we call it a retreat, it's like, it's probably gonna be here.
I'm not available. I'm not available from the 18th to the 26th.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
that being said,
How about the 14th? Anyone?
What is that?
That's a Wednesday also. September 14th.
I mean, I would prefer not a Wednesday, but if
Oh,
so that's Wednesday before the next planning. That's the Wednesday
Yeah.
before planning.
okay, so that's not good. Okay. But you said you'd prefer not a
I would
Wednesday
prefer
anyway.
a Tuesday or a Thursday, but
I mean, I like Tuesdays, I like Thursdays, so.
Thursdays would probably be better.
How about
What do you think
September
about the
8th?
20 Okay, either
Bill's
the
not
8th
here
or
on the
Not here.
22nd.
I said the 20, I was thinking
28th?
29th.
Or the 29th?
29th.
well, where you going? We'll go there.
Yeah.
Follow you.
Follow you. You seem to go to good
Oh, he goes to
places.
great
I
places.
know, he
It
does.
was pretty good, yeah.
We could follow you.
The 29th.
29th,
Yeah.
is good.
All right, so let's go with, is everyone okay with the 29th?
Yeah.
Are you okay with
Was
the
that
29th?
Capitol Grill or,
Are you buying any?
I was gonna suggest not here.
So,
Actually,
we said a
there was,
restaurant.
a restaurant owner that had offered their services, so let
I
me
was gonna
connect with
remind
them.
them of that.
in a meeting room there, you mean?
I
or
mean, they
just-
have a sectioned off area that,
Where's this place?
a new restaurant at the mall, so I don't wanna disclose them and put them on the spot if they decide to renege.
Oh,
Well, if that doesn't work out, maybe we can just reserve space at the Grandview or something.
And that's fine. Let me connect with them and I'll confirm, but let's plan for the 29th at what time?
me too, we could at least.
I don't know.
Really push the restaurant.
too early.
Yeah, push the restaurant place. Then we're gonna put the pressure on you, Brenda.
Closest meeting is 5:30.
I mean, can we do
Sorry,
5:30?
I don't care, it's fine with me.
5:30 for everybody?
I can do it.
All right, I mean, I feel like
5:30.
the earlier the better.
Yeah, because we don't want to be out too late.
Correct.
Okay,
All right, so that being
September
said-
29th.
Tentatively September 29th.
And that's a Thursday, you're saying?
Right,
Right.
September
Okay.
29th, 5:30. Staff, do we have any correspondence or reports from council that we need to discuss? Seeing nothing. Barbara, we know we're gonna have ice cream and balloons.
You better believe it.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us about the Sculpture Park Committee?
Not really, we are hoping to have another more grown-up event in the fall, but we don't have any information on that. I will say that we just found out today that one of the sculptures is going to be attending on Saturday. The creator of Seraph, which is the really tall blue sculpture, he is 92 years old and he's coming for ice cream.
Wow.
So hopefully he'll be there to answer questions about his work as well.
Is he a local resident or is
He lives in Weston.
Oh, okay. Good. Housing partnership, is there anything that you have that you'd like to share, or you want to hold off until your next meeting?
I can share because we have actually finished the housing needs assessment with MAPC, and
I've heard.
That we're just finalizing everything. We have a video, we have the whole report, and they're going to do a presentation at town meeting and updates on boards and commissions, and town meeting was wonderful, and they gave us $30,000 and we stayed in budget. And I think it's a really good stepping off point for MBTA communities, housing trust, and just kind of getting a handle on affordable housing in town, what we have, what we don't have, and kind of where the gaps are and what we can be doing better. And so I think this is a great.
You did identify those areas.
Yeah. So that's kind of, so thank you, town meeting, for giving the partnership the money. It's been great, and I think that the committee's really invigorated because of it, so.
Is there study up on the web yet?
I will have to double check with Kerry Donahue, but the minute we get it out, it'll be on our social media as well, and we'll make sure that it's out. I'm sure the Buzz will have it before I do.
Nikki's good, she's a good one.
I would just like to add that Liz and Carrie and the other members of this committee have been working really hard on this. They've been putting a ton of work and time into it, and I'm very grateful for everything they've done.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Maybe that they can join us at.
I think they do want to do a road show, not before town meeting, but at some point, they definitely want to do a road show of all the committees.
Yeah, I would welcome that. Okay, Recreation Commission, anyone?
Couple of items going on.
Sure.
The tree houses, if you're not familiar with that, that's going up Simon's Park over near, kind of near the Visco building to over between that and the.
When's it starting?
It will be starting next month.
Awesome.
Hopefully. Looking to do the basketball court lighting, we talked about that before. And what was before us last Monday was there was a proposal for the reconfiguration of the disc golf at the Simon's Park Woods. So nothing's going to be really changing that we would have to know about, but there might be some additional signage up there directing people to certain holes and things like that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Economic development, as I shared earlier, we are having the beer garden every Thursday for the month of September. So we will post additional details as I recall them, I suppose. Transportation Committee.
Sorry to say I missed that last meeting because I had to go attend another one, but I think Jen may be on, and she usually attends those Is Jen still up, Liz, or not?
Yeah, she's.
Jen, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here, and yes, I was at that meeting. They are starting to wrap up their report. So they're kind of in completion. As far as transportation, I do also want to say that the LRTA is doing a free transportation day. So if you haven't tried the Lowell buses, we have 2 that come into Burlington. They'll be free on, I believe it's Saturday, September 29th.
Great, thank you.
Saturday.
And
'cause
last but not least, CBRC Signage Committee.
Yeah, no news at the moment.
Okay.
Kind of in limbo because
Sure.
obviously signs require some aesthetic approval. and
Understood.
Design, blah,
Yep,
blah, blah.
no, gotta go down the list. Is there anything else that anyone else has to talk about?
I just want to bring up the 3A committee again, just to see what we're doing with that, if we're on track with anything with that.
So I think that's probably something that we're gonna be putting forward with the retreat. I think 3A committee and some of the other committees that are going to need to be constructed are gonna be something that, we need to put some thought behind. We have lots of committees, and we wanna make sure that anyone that's coming in front of those committees are really coming in front of the boards that are gonna make the final decisions instead of a committee after a committee after a committee.
Yeah, but I think that particular committee is different than any other committee, because that committee is actually where the work is done.
Sure.
There's so much that happens behind the scenes with that committee to come to a plan that then gets brought to the planning boards. There's so much involved with the downtown that you can't possibly effectively do it the right way by only having them come to the planning board.
Oh, agreed. But again, I think it's something that it's more of a discussion point, who wants to be in the committee, how often they're gonna, you're raising your hand, I love it,
Well, I've been on, I started it.
That's great.
I started it, back
like
when
a
it was
nice
originated,
committee.
That's great.
20-some odd years ago, and I've been on it ever since. And Bill was the chair, and
Okay.
we got a lot of work done, and there was a lot of great, a lot of great development that happened with that, and designs that have happened with that.
And
So
it
I
really
think,
made our job easier.
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
After
it's,
it's gone through you.
Staff,
Yeah.
I think we have a couple things that we definitely need to put on the agenda for the retreat. 3A subcommittee, among several other things, but, if there's anything that anyone has that they think that we wanna put on this agenda, let's get it together, get it to staff, and then we can circulate kind of a tentative agenda, and then we can add to it as needed, because we still have a couple weeks before, we get there. Okay? Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns, things to address right now?
Can I read an option out loud for an item that I know we closed already, but, so I don't need to circulate it and make comments? Or the new construction and alteration?
Sure.
So what if we say, all new building construction, including single-family dwellings, new construction shall be tear down and rebuild, and new building/home construction. Tear downs that retain the foundation will be considered new construction and shall meet the provisions of this bylaw. And then number 2, instead of just additions, alterations, renovations, and additions to existing buildings or dwellings and/or separate buildings or dwellings that increase the building dwelling footprint by more than 750 square feet on the lot.
I think that's good.
I think that's good.
A little
Yeah.
bit more of what,
yeah, that's,
because there's,
That
this
covers
is
it.
what's new. And don't just keep the foundation to try to get out of,
Yeah.
How about if they keep the foundation and the basement slab?
I mean, then,
Yeah, no, never mind,
Okay.
never mind.
I think that's good.
I think it's good.
Kristen, good job.
if you want to send, yeah, I mean, if you want to
I'll send it, I just wanted to.
send
get
it out,
kind
and
of a-
we'll take a look at it.
Like,
you know,
oh my
by
God.
tomorrow.
Yep, yep.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This
No,
doesn't
no,
happen.
no, no, not me.